And we're back and live on YouTube. We're COMP123, and it's week 9 in the summer 2017 semester at Centennial, and we're talking about polymorphism here and a little bit of inheritance. Okay, so we're back, and where we left off, we were working on this code here. We had the superhuman class, and we added the list of powers, which again is using composition, but I want to be able to add powers. Do I need to really do anything to add powers by using the list? The list has an add method, no? Right, it does, right? So if I go to my program class, here's the first time I'm modifying this, by the way, and if I go to my driver class and I create a superhuman, so if I go like, first of all, if I try and create a human, here's my human, and if I go is equal to a new human, and I pass in a name, right, like dude, right, it's an error, right? It says, whoa. It says, this is the main constructor of the class. It says, cannot create an instance of the abstract class or interface human. Because I can't make an instance of it. I cannot. Abstract class does not allow you to do that. And because it's meaningless, because human doesn't mean anything. Actually, we're going to get back to this, but superhuman really doesn't mean it either. We're going to talk about that later. We need a villain and a hero. We're going to get to the Spider-Man in a second, right? Or in a few bits, and maybe by Thursday. All right, so this isn't good, but we can do superhuman, right? So superhuman for now is, we'll just call it lowercase superhuman, is equal to a new superhuman class. We pass in the name of the person, we'll call him super dude, right? You're super dude, right? And super dude, I mean, you know, he wants to add some powers. So I want to add a power, let's do it, right? So I'm going to go something like superhuman dot, and then I go, okay, I want to go powers. Oh, man. Oh, wait, what's going on here? I can't add the power. I don't have access to the powers, right? So the way I get access to the powers, if I go back to the superhuman, is in my properties, because my power is private, right? And I talked about this. I can make a public property here. So I go public, right? And it's going to be of type what? A list, right? A list. A list of type power. This is the difference when we do a property. It's a different form. Okay, let's take a look at the syntax, right? And inside the list of type power, right, all we need is a getter. That's all we need, a getter, right, in that list. Here's my getter. Okay, cool. Well, there's a couple of problems here, right? And why is it giving me this issue, first of all? So we've got our getter, and here's our public power. I need a name for the power class. We're going to call this powers, right? Here's our getter. We need that because that was the causing of the error. And then in our getter, we have to return something, right? Well, we're going to return a reference. That's what we're doing. We return a reference to this dot underscore powers. So this returns a reference, right? So this is like a pointer. That's what it does. It points to the powers list. That's what it does, okay? So that's different. That's maybe you've never seen that before, because now it's a public property of type power list. Power list. That's how you read it, right? Okay, and if I go back to my program, notice now when I go superhuman dot, I can go powers, right? Here's my powers dot. Because powers is a list, I can go add. Okay, and then I want to add a power. Oh, man. Oh, man. It's expecting a power, right? But I don't have a constructor to add a power with a name and a rank, right? So guess what I got to do? I got to change my power class too, right? So I go by power. Because my power needs to add, I need to get a name and a rank to add in there, right? I need to add those two things to make a power, right? So I need a constructor to do that. I can also use methods, but let's use a constructor. So we're going to say public, we're going to call this power, and we're going to add in a string that's a name, and we're also going to get an int that's a rank. And what we're going to say is this dot name is equal to name, and this dot rank is equal to, I probably should make this lowercase, make it proper. Here we go. So this is a constructor. We've made a change to my power class right here. So guess what I got to do? I got to go like this, version 2, right? I'll say added constructor, right? That's what we needed to do, right? And this constructor also needs a few comments, right? Here we go. triple forward slash, right? This is the main constructor for the power class. It takes two arguments or parameters. One is name, which is a string, right? And rank, which is an integer, which is a 10, yeah. And that's this. Well, now that I've done this, I have not done this yet, but I got to test this with the other one, so I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to say new. Here's something I have to do here. I've got to make a new anonymous power, which is kind of weird, right? And I'm going to add in teleportation, like I said. Oh, okay, just for you, spider climbing. Spider climbing. Making super dude that has spider climbing like Spider-Man, but he's not Spider-Man, right? And we'll have a rank of 50 out of 100. So he's not quite as good as Spider-Man. All right, good. Cool. Okay, spider climbing, 50. That works, but this is weird, isn't it? Look, I got to use a new anonymous power, right? I got to put it right here. Look, this is weird. Powers add is neat, but this is weird. So maybe what I need to do is modify my superhuman to have an add power method, which does all this in the background for me and hides this new power, anonymous power, right? But for now, we've got enough. We've added a power. I think this is a great place to make a commit to GitHub, right? So in our power, we did this commit, right? And in my program, I modified my program. Here's 02, right? I modified my program. I added or instantiated an object of type superhuman. I can spell. Here we go. I cannot spell today. All right. That's what this is. Okay, cool. Let's do that. So let me go back to my home. I'm going to go to changes. These are the things I've changed, right? I'm going to say modified power class, added a constructor. And you could add other things in here. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say this for now. But I could have made multiple commits here along the way. I'm just not going to do it from a time perspective for now. Commit all. I'm going to go home. And I'm going to go sync and push. I don't have to push, but I will. Good. So now I've pushed everything. And let's say this is neat, but this is my issue. Do you understand my issue? Look, this is pretty ugly here, right? It's a new anonymous power. There's no name to it. I'm instantiating a new object, and I'm putting it inside of an object, right? That's okay. It's totally fine to do this thing. It's totally legal. But why? So what I want to do is hide it a little bit better, make it a little nicer. So in my superhuman, notice that my superhuman is a 0.2, right? I'm going to add a 0.3. What I want to do to 0.3 is I want to add, right, add power method, right? So my add power method, again, is a public method that returns void, right? That's add power, right? And what it does is it listens for a string for a name and an int for a rank, right? And what it does is encapsulates that little issue that we had. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm still going to do the same thing. I'm going to say this dot powers, right? Dot add, and I'm going to add in a new anonymous power. I'm still going to do it, but I'm going to do it here inside my class. So basically, I'm hiding that little implementation instead of showing it outside, right? So I'm going to say which is a new power, right? And the new power is going to take both a name, right, which is going to be the name, and the rank. This is more generic, yeah? Good. So now this method, right? This method adds a power to the power list, right? Takes two parameters, name, which is string, and rank, isn't it? Okay, go. I got that done. Save. Cool. I modify my superhuman, and I'm going to modify this to change what this looks like. I could do it still this way. I could. I'm still allowing this, right? But this is for advanced users. What I really want people to do is do this. So I'm going to say superhuman.add power, right? I don't have to access the powers list at all, and just put in spider climbing and then the rank. And that's cleaner, right? Add power, spider climbing, and the rank, right? That's much cleaner for the user, not for us. For us, we can use powers.add if I really want to, but why? I can protect it. I can make it nicer, right? And this is why it's nicer to do this. Okay, cool. So I've got this part, and I'm going to also add and modify the, so number 3, I'll say something like, you know, added a power, right, to the superhuman class object. I did there. So this is just for testing purposes, version 0.3, right? So my driver class really is helping me test. This is my test harness. I'm testing my methods, and my application runs, basically kicks off from my driver class, my program class, right? And my superhuman, right? Notice I've got everything in here. I've gone this, and now I can do home changes. You can see that I modified both my program and my superhuman class, and I can say something like add power method to superhuman class. Then commit all, home, sync, and push. And I want to show you this so you understand the development cycle that I'm talking about here. If I go back to GitHub, here's GitHub, and if I refresh, you can see now that I have 9 commits, right, in a very short time. But it tells a story, 10 commits. It tells a story here. It basically tells me the story from the beginning until where I am right now. And that's where I want you guys to do. This is good programming methodology, right? It's clean. It tells the story of what you're doing, how you're developing your code. It's good for your own feedback. You can always look back at your code to see how you did it, right? And if you're ever going to be a senior developer, you want to create a structure for your junior developers so that they can follow, right? And this is what I'm doing for you. I'm passing this on to you, right? So this is what I would do. If I was your senior developer, I would say, no. I want you to do it like this. When I go back and check your GitHub, I can see exactly what you did. And then we can talk about, well, what about this part? And I would have done it differently this way, right? We can have a conversation as opposed to going through all your code and trying to figure out what the hell you did, right? That's a waste of time. Your code should be human readable. Your code should be minimally commented, minimally, all right? Because too many comments is bad too, right? If I have a bunch of comments and a little bit of code, that doesn't make any sense, right? And if I have code that I can't read very easily, that's also bad. Okay. A couple last things before we let you go for the day, right? So this is good, but we're still not fully complete here. I mean, I got my superhuman class, but there really is no way to show my powers. I want to be able to show my powers, right? Now, there's many ways to do this, but I want to create another public method for that. So let's go public, right? Void, I want to say show, or maybe display powers. Display powers. And what I want to do, it doesn't take any parameters here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a for each loop, right? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say for every power in my this.powers collection, right? And notice that there's a var keyword. This is pretty ugly, eh? Var. C# uses this when it doesn't know what type it is. This power is of type power, right? So what I could do is I could actually replace the var with power, explicit. If I use var, that's implicit, right? That's like, by the way, don't think this is like var in JavaScript, all right? var in JavaScript only declares a variable, but JavaScript is loosely typed. Here in C#, we are strictly typed, right? But what var does is says, hey, let's guess what the best, what is power? It's probably a power type, right? With a capital P, right? It kind of infers that, and it uses that. So we can actually replace this by just putting in an explicit power in there. And that's totally fine. Now, what I want to do is for each power, I want to console write line something like my power. Again, there's different ways of doing this. So this dot power. Now, again, what I want to do is the power. So power lowercase, this one, right? So for every power, I want to list the power, right? And the associated rank. Now, earlier today, I did it like this, right? And I kind of added in a space with rank. You can do it in different ways. And for rank, okay, how do I do this? This is power.name, right? That's what this is, power.name here. I want the name of the power displayed, and I want the rank. So power.rank, right? Why is this? Because power represents the power that's inside of the powers list that I'm currently looking at, right? So every time I loop through this list, it looks at each of the powers. That's why it says for each. For each power in the powers list, I want to take the power name and the power rank, and I want to show them. That's what I'm doing. Okay, cool. That's good. Now let's comment. So, so I'll say this method displays each of the powers stored in the powers list, right? Pretty simple. Minimal commenting, like I told you. I don't need a lot of details here. I just want you to give me the header for each of the methods to tell me what it does, right? So display powers, right? So very cool. It doesn't take any parameters, right? And this is good. So I can go again. I'm going to go back to my Solution Explorer here to finish off. I'm going to go to Team. I'm going to go to Home. I'm going to go to, and by the way, we're going to change this later on. I'm going to go to Changes, right? I'm going to say added. Oh, wait, before we do that, I got to change this too, right? I'm going to say added display powers method, right? And that's what I'm going to put here. Added display powers method, right? To the superhuman class. Okay, cool. So commit all, right? Cool. I did that. Now I want to end it there. In my program driver class, right? In my program driver class, you can see that I've got spider climbing here, but I want to show it. So I'm going to kind of do superhuman dot display powers, and that's going to display my powers. I'm going to loop through all the powers in the power list and display them all, right? Just to show you this, I'm going to add not just spider climbing, but webcasting, because we have the Spider-Man theme today. Webcasting, right? And he's pretty good at webcasting, but not quite as good as his spider climbing. We'll make it 40, right? There we go. Webcasting 40, spider climbing 50, whatever those ranks mean. Right now, we don't care. We want to display powers, right? So I've got 2 powers that he holds into his superhuman strength and whatever. We can put that in there too later. And then if I start, it's going to flash and it's going to go. Let's try and see what happens if I press Control F5. You should see power spider climbing rank 50, power webcasting rank 40. Right now, that's all we have. I can see how slow this is, but we're going to get there. Because remember, we're going to make a hero on Thursday and a villain. Please be advised that on Thursday, you'll have a lab based on what we were doing here in class, right? The lab will be for you to add some other class that derives from the superhero class, right? Or the superhuman class, right? So if you're following along with me, you're golden, right? If you're not, if you're just watching, you're not doing, then come Thursday, your lab is going to be very difficult, right? So follow along and you're golden. Okay, so that's really it in a nutshell. We modified this because we want to display power, so add a power to the superhuman object. But here what we're doing is we not just added another power, so we say added another power. We can do more than one. Add another power to the superhuman object. And what else did we do? We also, if you really want to go into a lot of detail here, and this is about according to your style, by the way, also displayed all the powers in the power list. Right? So we did those 2 things. We did this, webcasting plus the display powers. Now again, I'm being very granular here. You can go a lot less granular, and what I'm looking for is when you add features, you commit, okay? I'm showing you how deep you can go and how light you can go. There's different ways of doing it. For me, as long as you show me progression, every time you add a class, every time you add a method, you know, those kind of things, that idea, and you show many more commits. Don't give me a commit for a comment, please. I made a comment, here's a commit, right? That's kind of, you know, that's crazy, right? But you could do that if you really want this, but it's not really recommended. All right, so let's say, again, what I did here was I added, you know, display, or basically I said displayed, I'll say this, displayed all powers in the powers list. We'll say in the program class, driver class. Right, so then commit. Okay, cool. Home. And then when we do this, I'm going to go to sync. I have a couple of commits now, and I'm going to push both those commits up. All right, cool. So we've pushed them up. Questions, what we've done today. Think about it. We've just we've revisited inheritance, and we learned something new about abstract classes, and we learned a couple new things about GitHub, right? But really what I want you to take away from this lesson today is this, right? It's important that you try and bring in real-world business rules into your classes, and we're going to do that by properly naming them, by assigning the the variable names the right way, and doing all that. Please start your assignment early, assignment 4 early. Please don't wait till the last minute. I would start now. Start structuring your assignment off now. It's not wrong. And submit often, because I'm only going to look at the last submission, whatever that is, right? You wait till the last minute, that would be very bad. Okay, any questions before we depart? All right, I'll see you guys Thursday. Remember, there will be a lab on Thursday based on the work that we're doing in class, right? So I'll see you then. Thank you.